So welcome to the inside of a 2019 Chevy Silverado Trail Boss. This is my first opportunity to get behind the wheel of one of these trucks. I know there's been a lot of reviewers out there that have already spent time in these, done a lot of reviews on them, but what I want to do is give you a little bit different perspective of this new truck, what I love about it, some things I think could be improved, but overall perhaps a different perspective. So first of all, I'd like to give a huge shout out to the folks here at AutoNation Chevy North in Corpus Christi, Texas for letting me take out their brand new and only 2019 Chevy Silverado Trail Boss. The first thing they had kind of talked to me about is how smooth it is, and I'm not going to disagree. These trucks have gotten so refined. It's really amazing that they're pickup trucks because they ride so much more like cars than pickup trucks do. Overall, from an interior noise perspective, the engine is very quiet. The interior of this vehicle feels very much like a luxury SUV, and it really has a solid feel to it. You know, I really like how this truck drives. It's very smooth. It feels very refined. It has a good stance to it. It definitely feels as if you're driving a full-size pickup truck. So this truck definitely has some acceleration. Does not feel like it's lacking in the power department at all. It definitely has nice on-road behavior. Honestly, it just feels like a very refined pickup truck. You know, I knew that when GM released this truck, it was going to definitely be a game changer for them. It has a lot of features and characteristics of a half-ton truck that you're expecting the newest form of a half-ton truck to have. A lot of room. It does not feel like it's a huge departure from the previous generation from the interior perspective, though. Really, the interior feels very similar. I would probably have to have a picture of both of them side by side to be able to spot many of the differences. You can definitely tell they've refined the interior. They've moved things a little bit differently. The knobs appear to be a little bit larger. Things appear to be better placed. But overall, it's kind of a carryover from the previous generation. And what I was told is that they did that specifically because customers loved how the interior of the previous generation was laid out. Plenty of power, plenty of acceleration. Now, you guys know me. When I do reviews on trucks, I want to give you the opinion of someone who's going to drive it daily. I don't really anticipate taking this up the Ike Gauntlet or going through some of the more extreme courses that you can watch other YouTube channels to get an impression of. On my side, I like to basically give you the interpretation of how I like to be inside of a truck, how I like a truck to feel, but more importantly, what it's going to be like to spend every day in and out of. You can definitely hear the tires. Now, they're not what I would consider excessively loud, but you can tell that this definitely has an off-road rated tire on it versus your traditional road tire. I don't think anybody's really going to mind. When you buy a Trail Boss package, you're buying it with the knowledge that you're getting a more off-road based package. Now, GM did install a factory lift kit on this truck. It's more of a leveling kit. They put spacers in place to give the truck a slightly higher stance and a bit of a more aggressive overall look. It does give you additional ground clearance, I believe 2 to 3 inches of additional ground clearance, but that's definitely going to give this truck that stance a lot of people like, and they're willing to pay extra for after they get a vehicle. Now, Chevrolet is going to be sending me one of these trucks, which I'll have for about a week or two, and I'm going to be able to give you many more in-depth views of what I feel about certain aspects of the truck. AutoNation Chevy here in Corpus Christi was more than kind enough to let me spend some time in this truck since I had not been in one yet to get my overall first impression of it. It's definitely a very quiet interior. But you know, that's not a surprise because General Motors has been known for making very quiet interiors. Their newer trucks have always had that high quality feel to them, that well put together fit and finish that you look for in a truck. And this one definitely doesn't disappoint from that perspective. Now, this is their Trail Boss package, but Trail Boss doesn't necessarily mean it's a top-end trim model. This truck does come loaded with a lot of really great features, but it is not like a high country, and it's not going to have some of the features you might get in an LTZ that's fully loaded. This is going to be more for your off-road enthusiasts and those who might subject it to light off-road use. Now I want to take a second, let's go over the interior of this truck. And like I said, it's not a huge departure from the previous model. It has that same kind of wrapped around feeling that you get with this area right here. The center console stack kind of feels the same. The dash area kind of feels the same. They still have a lot of the controls here, especially for your four-wheel drive, two-wheel drive. The left side of the steering wheel has a lot of your same features, your headlight dimming controls, your four-wheel drive, high and low. And this truck does come equipped with the 5.3-liter Ecotec V8. And the dash computer up front here looks very similar to how it did in the previous generation. Gauge cluster is also very similar. Steering wheel controls are definitely an upgrade. So before you used to have that little rubberized, textured, kind of a wrapped feel to the buttons. Now the buttons are all independent. They definitely have a higher quality appeal to them. Finally, push button start. Now the center console area is slightly different in its layout. The execution is relatively the same. It still has this really nice leather wrapped looking area that surrounds all your center console information. The infotainment system that they use in GM trucks is actually really nice. It definitely has a really good feel to it. It's easy to navigate through. It's capacitive. It's just a really good infotainment system. And now they give you this trailering screen as well, which basically takes you through an inspection list of all the different things you're going to want to check for when you are trailering. This truck does come equipped with 4G LTE baked into it, so you can actually broadcast a Wi-Fi hotspot from the truck. Of course, you would have to activate that service. Now from the center console area here, the button layout is a little different. It looks very similar. Again, you'd kind of have to hold an image of the previous generation next to this one to see big differences. But I do see some differences in terms of execution. The knobs are definitely larger. The wording and lettering is easier to see. It looks like they've spread the buttons out over a larger area, so the buttons are a little bit larger in size. Here you have your 12-volt connection, USB, USB-C connection, and this is going to be your 120. Now something I really like is that GM finally moved the trailer brake controller to the right side of the steering wheel. So in the past it's always been on the left side, so you've kind of had to toggle between the hand that you might normally access all of your center console features with and your driving hand to engage your trailer brake. So they've now put this trailer brake controller in the perfect spot. This is ideally where you want it if you're going to be towing, at least in my opinion. Some people may have differing opinions. If you've driven a previous generation GM truck, you might prefer it on the other side because that's what you're used to. But if you're driving any other truck, they've all pretty much moved it to this right side. So that, to me, is a welcome change. You have your dual glove boxes, your upper and lower glove box. The interior portion of the doors, dash, everything, it's laid out very nicely. What's interesting to me, and I want to point out, is you have a small spot mirror in the top left corner of your driver's side mirror, but on your passenger side there's no spot mirror. In my opinion, they should just put spot mirror standard on all trucks. Another thing that's kind of interesting to me is that there is no seatbelt height control here, so you don't have the ability to adjust your seatbelt up or down on this pillar like you might normally be able to do in other vehicles. And that's the same for the driver's side as well. It's just a fixed position seatbelt. Similar to a lot of vehicles, they have moved to a push-button parking brake. So no longer do you have a lever you have to pull. The parking brake is simply a button on the left side of the steering column that you press to engage. Center console is very large. You actually have quite a bit of room here in the center console. You have two cup holders. You have a spot here in the center. This is kind of a rubber area you can remove if you need to clean it. Has a little slot here. I guess you might put change or pens or pencils in. Nice trimming around the sides. And you have some pockets below. It would have been nice to see the center area drop down a little bit more so you'd have some more storage there. In the center console, you have a huge area here. And very common to full-size trucks, they put these little hangers on the end so you can hang folders or files in here as well, because a lot of people use these trucks for work purposes. You still get your USB-C, USB, and your auxiliary input here, plus an SD card slot. But it is a very deep center console. Looks like it's about a foot deep. One thing I really like is this center console lid. I know it's subtle, but there's nothing on this portion and this portion where your arm's going to rest that's going to dig into your arm. On a long trip, it's nice to have just a flat, soft surface to lay your arm on. This truck did not come equipped with a sunroof. It does have OnStar, and it does have HomeLink. Again, I am not a huge fan of sunroofs, so this would be more of the model of truck I would like. Now let's take a look in the back. Now as we go into the back of this truck, it is laid out very nicely. You are starting to see just massive amount of legroom here. It looks to be about 15 inches, so it's definitely on par with what you're going to get from Ford and Ram in terms of rear legroom. Huge improvement over previous trucks. One thing I absolutely love is this in-seat storage system. Gives you the ability to store things back here that you might not want people to see or access. It's definitely really innovative use of space that's otherwise dead. Space that you might not normally get any use out of. Then the pillow just drops back. You simply lift up on the seat. You have more under-seat storage. I really like this floor mat that they have in here. It covers pretty much every square inch of the back except for maybe an inch right here, but it covers a lot, and it seems as if it would offer very good protection against dirt, water, snow, ice, and things like that. Now, sitting in the back seat, I have ample knee space. I probably have a solid 8 inches of space between the back of my knees and the back of the seat. The seat cushion itself extends out nicely as well, so you have plenty of room there. Another improvement on this particular truck over the previous generation is they've given you taller headrests. So in the past, all of your headrests in the back seat were about this high. Now they've given you much taller headrest here, which is definitely better if you're going to be supporting the heads of taller people riding in the back. You now have air conditioning vents in the back, so most of you guys know that was a huge issue I had with General Motors trucks for the previous and even the prior generation before that. They used to actually put them in their older trucks. Now they've put them back in the truck. This is definitely something I think most GM owners are going to welcome back. And right now the AC is on its lowest setting, and I feel a good amount of air still coming out of these vents. So very impressed with the fact that they finally put AC vents in the back seat. You know, for people who are riding in the back, they're very much going to appreciate it as well. You're going to have your 12-volt connection here. Again, USB, USB-C. 2 cup holders. Another nice thing GM's done is that the cup holders in the back little flip-down armrest are flush. It doesn't stick up anymore. So when you lay your arm on it, you're not laying your arm on a piece that's kind of elevated out. It's pretty much flush with the back. Guys, this is a very nice truck. They've done a lot to really refine this product, make it more competitive with trucks from Ford and Ram, and in many cases probably exceed what you were even expecting to get from these newer trucks. So taking a look at the outside of this truck, it is clearly a Z71. You can see the huge marking right there. This truck is the Trail Boss package, which means it's going to have a mild lift to it. It has some incredibly aggressive tires. These are Goodyear Wrangler tires. And if you're wondering, they are 275/65 18s. I really like the contrasting bumper on the front. I think the Trail Boss is a beautiful package because it really gives you the nice body color, but it gives you that really super aggressive gloss black up front with the red tow hooks. Check out those headlights. A lot of people are going to be subjective to whether they really like the little gills here on the front that funnel air, and they're actually functional. I actually like them. I think they make the truck really look aggressive. In my opinion, they've done a great job designing this truck. Now, the truck to me looks even better in a Trail Boss format, just this whole aggressive look to it. One thing that's cool, and they are the only ones that do it right now, they give you the push button lock unlock feature on all the doors. So traditionally, like in my Ford, I have to unlock it from the front. before the back doors will unlock. In this truck, I can unlock it from any of the doors. Underneath perspective, they are still using 2.5-inch leaf springs versus 3-inch leaf springs. They are still using a Knox wax-coated frame. It's interesting. I really thought that they were going to go to a fully E-coated frame, but they're still sticking to this. Also, they are using through-welded cross members now. In the past, they didn't. The back of this truck also has a really nice aggressive look to it. You can definitely tell that the tailgate height and the whole side rail heights have been increasing. So the back of this truck sits pretty high, but you're seeing that really with all the trucks now. Black bumper. I do like the look of the integrated exhaust. Very nice. Uses a button to release the tailgate. Very cool. They have a nice cover on the tailgate, even though the bed itself is not sprayed or protected yet. I think anybody who gets this truck will probably determine what they prefer in terms of bed protection. Now, this truck does not have the tailgate assist where the tailgate will go up for you automatically. It is an option, but this truck doesn't have it. This is a really, really nice looking truck. I will be able to spend a lot more time in one of these once I get my truck delivered to me from Chevrolet. I'll be able to go over even more. Now, I am just returning this truck to AutoNation, where I found it. I want to give them a huge shout out. This is AutoNation North, Corpus Christi, Texas. These guys are always super accommodating, and they graciously let me take this brand new truck, the only one they have, the only Trail Boss they have, out to do a quick overview and review of it. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.